Honestly, friend, does it feel like you're putting in so much daily effort into your anxiety recovery and it just feels like you're beating a dead horse? That you're running around chasing your tail? Does it feel like things are getting worse? They're not getting better based on the amount of effort that you're putting in? My friends, if you answered yes to any of these, today I want to speak on such an important idea, a concept that's going to take you out of this particular pattern. Welcome to another important video on my channel. We are here outside and I thought, let's change it up. All our videos are usually on the inside, so here we are on a wonderful day. And I want to talk about today, because I put out a post on social media and people seem to relate to that post. And the post was about, if you continue to focus all your attention, all your energy on anxiety healing, you will only receive back to you more elements of anxiety. Now, a lot of people start to think about this and go, well, what do I do then? I have the experience of anxiety in relation to the way I think about things, the way I perceive, the way I feel, the sensations, the symptoms. Even my identity has become connected to anxiety. So Dennis, what do I do? If I don't focus my attention on anxiety recovery, then what? Well, what's important for you to understand is that what you're going through right now has very little to do with the actual anxiety. What you're going through right now is a part of the reflection that needs to happen on a regular basis to realize that some of the mental and emotional and behavioral and imaginative patterns that have gone unrecognized and you've gone unconscious for so many years have gotten to the point now where they have become automated. They have become the default mode to the way you experience life and the way you go about life. And if we take away this approach of anxiety healing and we start to come at it from a perspective of saying, well, all I'm doing here is creating deeper awareness around these particular patterns that I don't want to feel anymore. All I'm doing right now is realizing that there's a bigger picture taking place right now in my life. And that bigger picture has everything to do with the direction I'm going and the direction that my life is going. And after anxiety, post-anxiety, what tends to happen is we tend to turn into a different person. We're no longer so deeply connected with what's taking place in the modern world. We start to feel like we're becoming disconnected to other people. We start to feel like we're losing interest in some of the things we used to be interested in. We start to feel like we're coming into our own. We start to feel like we can give ourselves permission to be at ease rather than continue to fight through life. We feel like we no longer have to involve the mental body so often in order to solve problems and in order to guide us through life. And this is huge, because once you realize that it's the actual mental body and the mental fixation over so many issues that come up and challenges in your life that you're trying to work around or trying to navigate, once you realize that you've been doing that for so long, you can truly realize why you're stuck. Because the body tends to heal itself when the mind gets out of the way. And for so many of us here, what do we truly want? Well, we want to feel better, right? It's not necessarily that we want to think differently or, we want to become someone different. We initially, at least, want to feel better, right? So what's important here is this, and in my own Inner Circle program, 16-week program, I nail it down for you to the point where you realize that You're going through a daily task. And as you're going through a daily task through the Inner Circle program, what you're going to realize is that you don't even start thinking about the anxiety anymore, because you're so beyond the old ways of interpreting the way you feel or the way you think or anything like that. And this Inner Circle program is so powerful in that when you commit to it, it literally changes your identity. And that's what we need. We need to recognize the fact that this particular anxiety recovery has been a journey of micromanaging. Micromanaging a symptom. Oh, there's this symptom. What could it mean? Then you go exploring into social media and Google. You start asking professionals what the symptom means. And if it's not the symptom, then it's the mental fixation. And you start to go, well, am I going crazy? What's going on? Why am I thinking these things? When in truth, you're not really consciously thinking them. They're all unconscious. Why is my emotional state fluctuating so much? And all these questions that start to arise, and you start to micromanage all these different elements of sensitivity, all these different elements that have to do with the identity that you have created consciously and unconsciously to bring yourself to this very point in your life. And friends, I want you to understand today that you no longer have to see this journey as anxiety recovery. In fact, you have to. Because what happens? What happens? Answer this question in the comment section. What happens when you take the anxiety recovery out of the picture? What happens then? Well, what happens is now a sense of compassion and gentleness starts to take over. Right? You start to realize that the very thing that I've been fighting with for so many years and making such a bigger deal than what it really was my own doing. And because of my own doing, and because of the focus and energy that I have given to this anxiety, or whatever you want to call it now, because of that, I have fed into it. Right? And I have fed it. It's like putting logs on a fire. When you take the logs off, then the fire starts to burn out. And what you're doing right now is you're putting logs on the fire by waking up in the morning and recognizing, well, what do I have to do for my anxiety? Evening comes around. You get this moment of anxiousness, right? And it's not even a moment of anxiousness. It's literally your ego mind or your lower self telling you that it's time to be anxious, right? It's time, because it's that time again. You're home from work, right? And usually you go into this emotional state. So there's another reminder. And that reminder is saying, well, go into familiarity. This is how it's been in the evening for so long. So as you can see, we have been led to play a game by the ego mind or the lower self that has connected us to the addiction to suffering, and we have labeled it as an anxiety disorder, when in truth, it has come down to mental, emotional, behavioral, imaginative, identity-based patterns that are now being revealed, right? And as we continue to reveal these patterns on a daily basis, you're going to realize something. You're going to realize that you can live your life in a creative sense. You can live your life believing things that your parents never believed. You can live your life free right here and right now, even with the elements of those patterns in the background. And you no longer are waiting for the right time to do that thing you always wanted to do. Because now you're saying, I know what you really are. I know that you're a set of patterns. And I know that when I wake up in the morning, I get the headache. And I know that in the afternoon, I tend to worry about what other people think about me. And I know in the evening, when I come home, I get this feeling of absolute exhaustion and tiredness. And that spurs on more panic even, right? I'm starting to recognize these patterns. And the moment you start losing the fear that's connected to those feelings and sensations, in that very moment, you are truly starting to distance yourself from those old patterns and habits. So this is no longer an anxiety recovery. This is a set of patterns that are now coming into your awareness on a daily basis, and the power within you to reflect on these patterns and to begin to recognize that they are not you, but they're coming from an ego-minded place, trying to keep those familiar patterns and habits alive for so many years. This is what's going to set you apart from who you used to be. This is what's going to take you down the path of a true awakening, because it's time that we awakened out of our fear-centered trance. It's time that we awakened out of what the ego wants us to do, how the ego wants us to live, how the ego wants us to interpret our scenarios, our experiences in life. Because in truth, there is nothing to fear, even death itself. We must respect even death as part of the cycle of life. Now, can you sit and meditate with that for a few moments and notice where it takes you? You're going to realize that on this journey very, very soon, that you've been working way too hard to heal your anxiety, and you haven't allowed the universal mind, source energy, whatever you'd like to call it, to be a part of that healing journey. You've tried to do it all yourself, and you've tried to do it in a mental way. You've tried to behave your way into healing this, and all you're doing is continuing to feed it because you don't have the proper mindset going in. Well, it's time to let go. It's time to surrender. And I don't mean surrender in the way of just the word surrender. I mean to literally give yourself permission. Give yourself the green light to say, no, no, I am not going down the path my ego mind wants me to go down because I've just come in contact with an intrusive idea that may create a catastrophic future. No, I am not going down that path. I am aware of a particular sensation or symptom in my body, but I will not interpret it the way I used to. I feel emotional fluctuation, and I can sit with it, knowing I no longer fear these things or question my own emotional or physical health. Do you realize how much power you have within you to do these things? Ego, lower self, has sapped that power from your life and has created a bubble that you continue to live in on a daily basis, a bubble that so many people live in on a daily basis. Well, my friends, it's time to wake up. It's time to step out of that bubble. It's time to recognize the truth behind who you really are deep down, and it's time to surrender. I love you from the bottom of my heart, and remember that you are more than anxiety. I want you to comment below and let me know the biggest piece of insight you got from this video. As well, please share it with anyone in need, because let's help more people out there wake up from their fear-centered trance. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.